everybody, welcome back to another review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. This one's gonna be pretty quick, to be honest. I'm pretty, I'm pretty locked in on how I feel, and also kind of uncomfortable. And I think that kind of teases my overall thoughts with this film. That film being May December, which was directed by Todd Haynes, who previously would go on to do, or most notably did Carol back in 2015, which I really like. He's also done Dark Waters. Yeah, he also did Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo, which I heard good things about. I'm Not Here or There with Kate Blanchett. And he's also due to direct a film with Joaquin Phoenix, which they're shooting for an NC-17 rating, if I'm not mistaken. But this stars Natalie Portman as an actress who is going to interview and research and study Julianne Moore's character, who is the subject that she is due to play in an upcoming film. And she begins to see her daily life, her daily routine. She talks to other people that are in relation to her, and she becomes seduced by the research and becomes engulfed into this mindset. It's basically method acting, what she's doing, and she allows herself psychologically to become that of which Julianne Moore ultimately is, and how in Julianne Moore's case she's in denial of such a thing, of of her past and everything. And essentially that is what the movie boils down to some respects, is about denial. Obviously a great emphasis on exploitation, and for the method, obviously in method acting there's an obsession and desire. All these sorts of ideas are echoed throughout the film. And to give some credit where credit's due, some of the technical bits here and there I think are pretty good. The score is, I think, a really outstanding element. And aesthetically, it's interesting. It reminded me a lot of, I think his name's Egmar Bergman. I think that's how you say his name. It reminded me of films of his, specifically Persona. In terms of a production design, it reminded me a lot of that film. So I could see that as an influence on this. And the off-putted nature of it is appealing if done a different way. I could see where they're going for, and it's interesting in that aspect. But as you can see, I'm starting to get into my issues now, which really made me stop watching it, to be honest with you. I got about halfway through it, and then I started to ask myself if I'm really comfortable, and the answer was no. And here's the reason why. So, just so you understand why I ended up stop watching the movie. So Julianne Moore's character has a particular past, and that past, of which they tell you at the beginning of the movie, is that she ended up having an affair with a seventh grader. And that seventh grader is also the husband, who is now in his 30s, and she's like presumably in her 60s or whatever. And they have a couple of kids who are now going off to college. And all of this is established, and this development is a hurdle that is, in my opinion, way too high to jump over. Because essentially Julianne Moore's character is like Woody Allen, and the movie is basically telling you that let's try to dissect Woody Allen and try to understand that perverted, mindset, and try to see, certain things here and there, try to sympathize, like basically, the movie is acting on Natalie Portman's mindset, which is someone who is trying to mentally allow themselves to just let go, and just be that person, and to understand that person to a certain respect, even if that point is rather ignorant. Um, what you get from it is something rather gaslighting, infuriating, and in my perspective, inappropriate. Um, because it's producing a horny quality to that's utilized, I think, mainly for shock value, and for dark like chuckles, which I never once chuckled in this. I found it more gross than anything, and it's using this in hopes of, you know, translating a certain idea, a certain representation, but it's more or less just gross, and in some ways condescending and mean spirited, blatantly ignorant. Like I see what they were trying to achieve, but also just to note about the performances, Julian Moore and Natalie Portman. I feel they're a bit too blatant for my taste, much too knowing of their personalities. That might be uh, that might have been intended. I don't know, but because there is an off-putted quality to the movie, um, there's a hint of comedy there, but it's very dark. You have to get past uh, a certain skies, or a certain, how should I say this? You have to like you have to be able to stomach that development and accept that development and to understand the humor of the movie. And that, like I said, it's a very high hurdle to jump over, and I never got over it. I found it really gross, and I I just I just didn't find it I just didn't find it comforting. That's just the honest truth. I just found it very uncomfortable, and I think that's probably the point of the movie. Also, what it hopes to achieve in terms of reactions is, oh, this is a shocking movie. This is very, very shocking. Um, in terms of a craftsmanship, in terms of like how the edits play, in terms of a technical achievements, it's fairly well made. But the attitude of the film and the approach to its ideas, I think, create more uneasiness and more of an uncomfortable atmosphere, more of a disturbance, really. And to some measure, I think the film knows this, but it's not where I can. How do I say this? Like, it's not like where I can go, oh, okay. At least this movie understands now that this character is gross and this is vile and this is this and that. It almost takes a pleasure in such a thing, and that's when I started to really be tuned out of it, and I started asking myself, okay, do I really want to invest more into this? And also, in terms of a drama that's being billed, it's obvious, how things are gonna go. You're like, okay, we know Natalie Portman's gonna sleep with this person because psychologically, like understanding her psyche, it's like, okay, this is how things have to go. So it's kind of just building towards that point. So, so I just decided just to turn it off, just because I no longer felt comfortable, and also fairly predictable. So, um, but I think that it could have been, I think it could have been more investing and more understanding if the attitude was not so infuriating and fairly inappropriate, to be honest. Um, so so there's good qualities there. I like the influence from the Bergman like influence on there. Um, but I just wish that it has a little bit more in line with Lars von Trier, in that it's like a movie that wishes to shock you, you know, but also it's making some form of commentary towards the industry. But there's just a pleasure that's taken with it that I don't think makes it more understanding. It just makes it gross. So, so I think more of an attention to that, like, because I do believe this movie understands its subjects to a certain measure, but I think that it needed to be more vocal in that, because there's a large portion in this where I just think the movie is taking a pleasure in this, because again, there's this horny like quality that's there that I feel like shouldn't be there, and it just made things more uncomfortable for me. So because Julianne Moore's character is just gross, like really gross, and the movie tries to make you understand or at least sympathize or at least try to like be comfortable with her company. It's like I'm not. So, but um, but but yeah, I found it fairly uncomfortable, and I decided to end it because it's a big ask, and I'm not. I can't I can't get past that because it interfered with my overall experience with the narrative as a whole. So so yeah, so good score, good aesthetics. In terms of a overall production, just how things are being presented by structure. I mean, it's fairly predictable, but can be interesting if the drama was not hindering on a very harsh like development at the start. If it was more lighter and more subtle or something that's more digestible, to be frank, then I think that I would have been more involved and a little bit more intrigued. With this, I just found something more of shock value than of resonance. And it seemed and it makes sense knowing that his next film is an NC-17 film with Joaquin Phoenix, because it just seems like that's the type of direction that Todd Haynes is pushing towards, is that of shock value. So, but yeah, so yeah, so those are my thoughts on May December. I just feel uncomfortable. So, but you guys, let me know your thoughts on May December if you guys have seen it. My camera just got out of focus. Good dear God. You guys, let me know your thoughts on May December if you guys have seen it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.